everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being a part of this panel discussion. So it's a very nice day, and today we have decided to actually look at a very ancient text from a contemporary lens. So we have Nitin Sridhar, who has written this book, Manusmriti, an English commentary, and he is basically a very well read scholar and who's been working in this space for a very long time. Along with Nitin, we also have Soumya and we have Abhishek, who are very young readers. So they have actually read through the book and they have a lot of questions, feedback, a lot of, say, thoughts that they would like to share with all of us. Along with both of them, we will be having a lot of, say, live viewers joining us. So we hope to have a very enriching discussion. So diving right into the conversation, I would like to talk to Nitin first. So you have been researching on Manusmriti for a while now. So for all of us, could you please give an introduction of Manusmriti? And most importantly, what is its place and function within the Hindu knowledge tradition?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this. Um, this is a very important question. I'm glad that you started with this because people have all kinds of ideas. What a Smriti is, what a Manusmriti is. Is it a law book? It is a biblical commandment kind of book or whatever it is. But the thing is, most people don't read Manusmriti. They don't, except for perhaps coming across some cherry-picked translations here and there or propaganda ideas. So they are not aware about what a Smriti is or what a Manusmriti is, what a Dharma Shastra is. Um, so when I decided to write this book, as you know, the book does not cover the whole of Manusmriti. It covers only the first 4 verses, hence the title Chatushloki. And this decision was deliberate. I do plan to write more books covering the rest of the Manusmriti in the future. But for now, I wanted to be clear of all the unnecessary polemics, politics, controversies, etc., because all of them are noise. Basically, they prevent one from inquiring into any text, any field of knowledge in a proper manner, in a sincere manner. I mean, it's not just limited to Manusmriti, it is about all texts. Say, for example, any scientific question, you're expected to be scientific to understand scientific question. You're expected to be familiar with the norms and standards of science. You cannot, if you politicize science, then there is no science discussion anymore. So with this idea in mind, I thought I would focus only the first 4 verses because they deal with this question: what is Manusmriti? What is its self-description? What is its purpose? What is its role? So there are many Smritis. There are at least 18 to 20 major Smritis. And these Smritis are basically Dharma Shastras. So this is very, very important to understand what is a Dharma Shastra. Dharma has a particular technical definition, so also Shastra. But without going into detail, we could, if you want to put it in a contemporary language, then Dharma Shastra is any treatise which systematically imparts knowledge about dharma or well-being. So dharma has very detailed definitions, but put it into contemporary language, dharma is something that can facilitate when you perform it. It's a reference to action. When you perform it, it can lead to overall well-being, material, spiritual, this worldly, the other worldly, overall well-being. So this is to put it in a very, very simplistic manner. So Dharma Shastra is one which teaches about it, which gives us knowledge about it, or is a source of knowledge from which we can know about it. So Manusmriti is among the foremost of the Dharma Shastras. Within the Dharma Shastra tradition, Manusmriti has been taken up, has been posited as one of the most exalted, most foremost. This does not mean other Dharma Shastras are inferior. It is merely that the Manu's authority, or rather, again, authority is a controversial term today, because the way I use it, the way contemporary people understand is very different. So if I have to rephrase it, the Manu's stature as a teacher of Dharma is well recognized in the tradition. So when you speak of what is the function or the place of a Dharma Shastra, so we have to begin by understanding the Hindu knowledge tradition itself. So what is today called as Indian knowledge system or Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. So in the Mahabharata, we find a very interesting discussion on this, and it speaks about 18 Vidyasthanas and 64 Kalas. So that pretty much covers the everything can be clubbed into this category, basically all fields of knowledge. So among the 18 Vidyasthanas, there is one called Dharma Shastra, wherein the Manusmriti comes. There are the Vedas comes under, the Vedangas comes under, the Artha Shastra comes, the Ayurveda comes. So there are different branches are recognized, and Dharma Shastra is also recognized as an independent branch. So Dharma Shastra or the Manus and other Smritis, they are very important Vidyasthanas. So Vidyasthana is a space where of knowledge or a field of knowledge. So the correct way to approach a text, how do we approach knowledge? How do we gain knowledge? The correct way is to approach knowledge with the idea of humility, of seeking, genuineness, open-mindedness, open-heartedness. And with this idea, you have to approach any vidya. It could be any knowledge, even in the contemporary sense, all the secular knowledge. How does school functions? The teacher teaches the students have to be sincere, right? Only then they will be able to learn. Otherwise, the teacher will be teaching to the wall, right? So this clears a very important misconceptions today that Manusmriti is like a constitution, or it is a law book, or it is a hegemonically imposed text. It is none of them. It is basically a kind of a textbook of knowledge. In this case, the subject of the knowledge is dharma. However, Manusmriti and the rest of the Smritis deriving from it, the Dharma Shastra tradition, has had great influence on Indian history, Indian culture, Indian civilization, because Dharma is one of the Purusharthas. Dharma is one of the goals of life, one of the areas in which we all try to pursue. It is the means to attain well-being here and hereafter. Everybody wants to be happy, nobody wants to be sad. So as long as people want to be happy, they cannot do away with dharma, they cannot do away with dharma shastra. So this understanding is necessary about what is the place. So historically we see many inscriptions about kings being praised as living up to the ideals of Manu. And there are Manusmriti, our other Smritis also speaks about our achara, our day-to-day conduct, speaks about how we should live, how the ritualistic ideas, what are the rituals we should practice, what are the spiritual methods to attain. And it also has material about civil law, criminal law, what is the duties of a king, government, and it also has about prayashchitta and so many other topics of very different nature also that are relevant to us culturally, socially, and ritualistically, spiritually, and even in the politics and governance. So this is what Manusmriti actually is from the perspective of the tradition itself, from the perspective of the Shastra itself, the Manusmriti itself.
Great. I think that was a very elaborate background and overview of the text. Thank you so much for enlightening us with, say, your work. So, as I mentioned in the panel discussion, we will be looking at Manusmriti from a more contemporary lens. As we call it is a very Gen Z conversation. And we have two very attentive readers who've actually read through the book, and they have some of their questions and impressions to share. So I'll turn to Abhishek first. So Abhishek, in your reading of the book, what were some of the aspects that stood out for you? And since we have the expert author with us, what are some of the questions that you have for Nitin sir?
I think just as Nitin mentioned just now about you can't be happy without dharma, which is a very interesting statement to me because Manusmriti may not be a constitutional text, but it is a religious text, and India is a secular country, and a lot of people are not Hindus, and religion, as we know, historically has been oppressive to women, and it has been oppressive in India to lower castes as well. And these two things are mentioned in uh, controversially mentioned in Manusmriti. So I just wanted to ask, what is the relevance of studying a text like this? I think as an academic exercise, Manusmriti is very important because I don't think we shouldn't be studying it. I think we should be studying text like this because it gives us a worldview of what was mm, happening back then. But what is its relevance in modern India, where a lot of people simply do not follow dharma per se, and where we still have so much violence against women and violence against minorities, and the right wing has co-opted a text like Manusmriti as well. So even though I understand and respect the text in a more academic sense, I cannot make myself. I don't see an argument where it is relevant to be practiced. Where at least for me.
So, what are your
Wonderful.
thoughts on that, sir?
Very interesting question. I let me correct you there that right wing has not co-opted Manusmriti. I can tell you from experience that there are there are no wings for any of the shastras, especially for the Dharma Shastra. No wing has co-opted. Everybody wants to stay away from it because it is too controversial, because people don't understand. So that aside, on a serious note, it's a very important question. Um, Something which is very popular, that Manusmriti is anti-women, and it's actually a very ideological loaded question. I think I could say that from the way you posited it, bringing right wing etc. on a discussion on the book, I can sense that perhaps you're in the camp that does not believe in the Hindu right, or does not believe in Hindu dharma. It's okay. Everybody has a view, and but many people have this idea. So there are two parts to your question, and there are certain problems I find it in the way you have posited the question. As I say, it's ideologically loaded. You make a couple of points saying that world over religion have oppressed women. That may be true, may not be true. Uh, I would not contest that. I would not go there. But you also say that in the same line, you also say that the Hindu dharma has oppressed women. So this is something that is contestable, because it is not, it has not been established beyond doubt. You have to first establish with evidence that that women have been oppressed in Hindu dharma. What may appear as oppression to you, or what may appear as problematic to you, may not be problematic to women themselves. A very, very simple example I could give from a contemporary time of Shabrimala, of which I'm thankful that Vitasta published a book by me in 2018 at the height of the issue. The Shabrimala has been, for all the detractors, the petitioners in the case, none of them were practicing Hindu. Many of them had no stake in the Shabrimala temple. Yet the whole issue was created that the Shabrimala practice was anti-women. Shabrimala practice was discriminating women, oppressing women, so on and so forth. And that is a very, very contemporary example. We don't need to even go to history. But the fact is, all these petitioners, all these arguments from the leftists, the liberals, and every other people, they are already functioning in an ideologically loaded framework. So obviously, from that framework, everything may appear oppressive to you, and that also, it's also, the choice is always very. These people choose those practices to attack, which are politically useful to them, not the others. In the Kerala itself, there are many Ayyappa Swami temples where there were no such restrictions. There are 4 main temples, of which Shabrimala is one, and the other 3, there are no restrictions on any women, on anything. Even in Shabrimala, there is no restriction on women per se, but it's a restriction of women of fertile age from their menopause to from their menarche to menopause. So it is not a restriction of women. It is in fact it is about ritualistic practice. So when you approach a question, when you approach an issue from a wrong framework, and you ask wrong questions, you will get wrong answers. So you have to, when it comes to ritual or any matter, so it's like saying, I want to study gravity, but I will use a political lens. You cannot study gravity or quantum mechanics from a socio-political lens, right? Why are many scientists men? Why are not women? See, these questions, when you politicize these questions, then there won't be science. Similarly here, on the subject of ritual matter, you have to first understand the ritual. You have to adopt the worldview of the ritual. You have to understand where the culture is coming from. So the reason for the Shabrimala practice is how the nature of the deity of the place is. What is the nature of a temple? Temple is not a congregation place. It is not a church. It is not a mosque. A temple is the home of the Devata, abode of the Devata. The name Devalaya itself says. So when you understand this, then you will see that we go to temple not to do gossip. We go to temple not to talk to each other, not to improve our networking with people. The purpose is not social. The purpose is not secular. The purpose is ritualistic. The purpose is religious. So we go to temple to see our devatas, whom we love and adore. So that is why you saw that in the Shabrimala, when the judgment happened, lakhs of women came out. The devotees of Shabrimala came out saying that we do not want to go. We do not want to violate the ritual because we have faith in the devata. So the same argument which the contemporary narrative, the leftist narrative, the academic narrative posited as anti-women, women are only rejecting that. So this idea that Hindu Dharma is oppressive to women is not taken, it is not granted, it is not established. Yes, across the world, even in India, there will always be societies wherein injustices will happen. It will happen, it is happening, it will continue to happen because we are all humans. We humans have weakness. That is what the Hindu understanding is, that we are all afflicted with what is called as Arishat Varga. That is Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, that is jealousy, attachment, delusion, pride, etc. As a result of these, there will be many human actions wherein we act petty, we act cheap, we present ourselves in some way in front of others and backstab them. So there are so many things that is happening. That is the source of many crimes also. So that there have been instances when women were at the disadvantage in the past. Maybe there are instances that is like today. It's true. But there have also been instances wherein men were at a disadvantage in the past. And that is true even of today. Right? So the point is, what is the lens that you are trying to analyze this? So if you make a statement such as the whole history of Hinduism, the women were oppressed, then your statement is unsubstantial, because we have a lot of evidence contrary to this that show that this is not true. We have n number of, starting from the Vedas, where we had n number of Rishikas, to the great saints of India, such as Akka Mahadevi, Andal, and many others, from great Kshatriya women who took initiative, who fought the British, fought the Muslims. Yeah, okay, let me complete. Yeah, please. Yeah. So we have so many evidence of this. So this is very important to understand it. Second point is the somehow trying to, even if we say for argument's sake that there have been some form of oppression of women in the past in some conditions, fine. This every society has problems. But then to take that and simply put a blame on one text called Manusmriti, that is completely, there is no logic in it. There is no rationality in it. It is that you are making a scapegoat of a text which you have hardly studied. So these are, see, this, if you have actually gone to a guru, studied in the tradition in the way it is supposed to be studied, then many of these questions might have not come at all, because these questions are already answered when you understand the text in the way it is supposed to be understood. I'm not saying that a text cannot be problematic or there cannot be problematic areas within a text. Sure. And we don't need to agree with everything. That is also sure. But we have to at least have correct knowledge of what we're disagreeing, and not based on hearsay or preconceived notions and biases. Yes. So I'll contest that idea that that there is oppression, there is inherent misogyny as a rule, not as an exception. All societies have some form of oppression, some form of injustice in that, because that is an outcome of human nature. But to say that it is the norm, it is the how it exists things, you have to substantiate it. So and that substantiation has to be honest. It cannot be political propaganda posited as substantiation.
Yes. Just one
Just
aspect of
want
I just
to
want to
just want to
just want to
clarify
clarify
something.
something.
When I
When I
said
yeah.
said
like
like
religion
religion
has
has
oppressed
oppressed
women,
women,
I
I
meant
meant
every
every
religion.
religion.
I
I
meant
meant
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity.
Christianity.
Every
Every
religion
religion
has
has
oppressed
oppressed
women
women
across the
across the
world,
world,
and
and
this
this
is
is
actually
actually
reflected
reflected
in
in
the
the
material
material
hierarchy of.
hierarchy of women, because women were not given the right to vote. Women were not meant to be the property of men. These things can be actually substantiated by history.
No, no, see,
So it's
you
not
are, no,
something
no,
that cannot be
no, no, you
unsubstantiated.
are, see, very simple point I made. You are again and again doing that, conflating what is in Islam, Christianity with Hinduism. You don't need to do that. We have to study each independently. See, if you take my book, Menstruation Across Cultures, you will see I've done a very detailed study on very small topic called menstruation, on how all the religions and cultures across the world saw it. You will see a very clear difference between how Abrahamic religions treated menstruation, especially in Christianity. It led to the killings of hundreds of thousands of women accused of witchcraft. We don't see that phenomenon in India. There is no genocide of women on the basis of menstruation. So let us not try to pass propaganda as fact by saying that Islam, Christianity does it, so every religion does it. So I mean, critique Hinduism on the basis of what Islam or Christianity does. So I'm not interested in what Christianity and Islam does. I'm interested in
No, but I'm
interested in
saying
our
that
religion.
religion as a whole has been oppressive to women, and I think this can
There
be
is no whole,
historically
boss. There is no whole,
substantiated.
boss. There is no whole. That is what I'm telling. There is no whole. Each religion is separate. There are academic scholars such as
Yes, yes,
there
obviously
are academic
there's a
there
lot
are
of scholarship
academic
about how
scholars.
women.
There are academic scholars such as Dr. Balu from Ghent University who even contest the designation of religion to Indian traditions. So even so we have to be aware of the how even academia sees these things. So the very point is, let us
But
take.
ideology exists in academia as well. If you are saying that I come from a leftist point of view, someone else might come from their point of view. They also have an ideology to spread themselves. So I'm not saying that oppression is inherent to like Hinduism. I'm saying that religion as a whole has certain things that has been oppressive to women. I'm not saying that the whole of Hinduism is oppressive to women. Of course, that kind of statement is very wrong to make. But there are certain things that are oppressive.
No, there might see again. I'm trying to bring your attention to the fact that this very way you are presenting the point that religion as a whole, there is nothing
Hmm.
called religion as a whole. There it is not a united idea. There is not a united idea. There is no unity of religions here. What Christianity does, what Abrahamic does, they are very separate. What polytheistic traditions does, they are separate. Within polytheistic traditions, what Egyptian polytheism did, or what Hinduism, Hindu Dharma does, they are separate. So there is no united idea. So all I'm saying is,
Uh,
you may argue that if you say that in Hindu Dharma also there might be elements which are oppressive, then again this opens to question what elements are they really oppressive, what is the definition of oppressive, and who is calling it oppressive, whether the practicing women themselves. I gave the example of Shabarimala where the same arguments about discrimination, oppression were made, but the devotee women never considered them so these are about an outsider perspective, outsider category of oppression. This is this. See, let me go get into this. This oppressor, this has nothing to do with Manusmriti or this discussion, which I hope we will come back to that. But I want to make a one
Yeah.
single point. This whole oppression, oppressor, oppressive, this whole category comes from, if I am not wrong, from a Marxist lens, ultimately. So this lens is completely unsuitable for Indian conditions. So the problem lies
I
with the
don't
very
agree.
lens itself. You may
Yeah.
not agree. That is fine. I am not here to convince all of them. So you
Yeah.
cannot convince everybody, right? Just like you cannot convince me, I cannot convince you. We
Yeah.
can agree to disagree, but let us keep it to the book. Yeah.
Yes. So just to say, go back to the discussion at hand. So one aspect that Abhishek mentioned, which a lot of, say, modern readers also wonder, is the relevance of Manusmriti. So of course, you've studied the text at length, and the world has changed a lot with tech, with AI. A lot of our values have also changed. our personal values, our social values. So, what are some of the best lessons that we can take from Manusmriti to make our lives more enriching? So, what are some of the key takeaways that you would like to share with our young readers that can actually add value to their lives?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing back the discussion. This is very, very important question. I agree that a lot of readers, I have interacted with a lot of people from college students to scholars, to from very different background, from technology background, from law background and others. Uh, they all ask me, what is the relevance? This question comes up repeatedly because the fact of the matter is, due to colonialism and colonial dismantling of Indian education system, indigenous education system, and continued adoption of this Western oriented education system has simply made us alienated from our tradition. So if we were not alienated, then the question would have been obvious. The answer would have been obvious, right? So we have to understand that. So second, what is the relevance there? I will list a couple of level I can see the relevance. But before that, let me point out the very question of a text that it is relevance today that you mentioned. We are living in a AI age. We are living in a technology age, and we are going forward to more and more material abundance, etc. This has always been happening. That is, the change in society has always been happening. The question assumes that Manusmriti or other texts were a text written as a historical text. That is, this is again a Eurocentric academic notion that Smritis are artifacts of the past put in the museum. Their only relevance is to academically study a dead text. But the fact is, just like the Vedas, the Smritis and Ityasa Puranas, they are not dead texts. They are living here and now. They will always be relevant. Why? The answer is very simple, because their actual purpose, so their self-described purpose. So this is very important. Rather than superimposing upon them what they should do, they should not do, what is our expectation because of our contemporary grounding or bias, we should examine what they want to tell us, what they want to teach us. So that is why I wrote Chatushloki Manusmriti, the first 4 verses, because in the very first 4 verses, it clears what is the subject matter. The subject matter here is dharma. For all the Vedic Shastras, the Shastra tradition, the 4 Purusharthas are the subject matter. Of them, the main, the Itihasa Puranas, the Smritis, Vedas, focus upon two Purusharthas. One is dharma, other is moksha. So my question, again, I come back to my original question. Do we not want to be happy today? AI has come, things have changed, fine. But do we not want to live a peaceful life? Do we not want to experience joy? If the answer is yes, and I'm sure it is yes, because nobody says I want to be sad. Don't we want have a well-being? Don't we want to be attain happiness, not just in this life, but even afterwards, after the death of this body? Because our Shastra say that this is not the only life. Today we have this you only live once. But that is not the worldview of our ancestors. Our Shastra speaks about multiple lives, our journey through multiple lives to attain finally the liberation in the form of moksha. So do we not want moksha? So the dharma is the means to attain all of them. So how? Let me come to the exact definition of dharma so that you can appreciate it. Dharma has been defined as that which is hita, that which is beneficial to humans. And it has been defined as that which upholds the universe. It has been defined as that which can give us abhyudaya nishreyasa. When you practice dharma, it gives you abhyudaya. Abhyudaya has a technical meaning. It means material well-being. Well-being in this life, well-being after the death of the body, you attain better, you attain swarga. If you subscribe to this notion of swarga and naraka, then you attain swarga, and then you have a better birth next life, and you attain purification of the mind, and slowly you work towards your moksha. That is what dharma can give. So now this is a technical answer to you, because Manusmriti is a dharma shastra. It will always be relevant, because if you want to be happy, if you want to well-being, if you want our good, then today or tomorrow we will have to look for sources of knowledge which can reveal to us, which can give us correct knowledge about the means to attain that happiness, means to attain that overall well-being. Then the Dharma Shastra comes into play. But let me give you more specific answer, a non-technical, non-academic answer to it, particular to Manusmriti. I recently did one talk. I see my friend Shrikant Venkatesh in the audience. He had kindly organized one talk in Bengaluru, wherein I spoke on the topic of how Manusmriti can guide our everyday life, how it is relevant for our everyday life. So I'm not going into the politics and all. Everyday life, simple thing. There are n number of teachings in the Manusmriti. At one place, Manusmriti says, respect your elders, respect your father, mother, treat them well, do worship them, take care of them. When they are old, it is your duty to take care of them. The debt you have to them for giving birth to you will not be wiped out by anything. Now, today, what we see people abandoning their elderly parents in an old age homes, or in some banks of a river or some unknown place. So the times have changed, sure. Today, that taking care of the parents, which was present even just two generations, one generation back, have almost disappeared. I will not go into an analysis of why this happened, but the contemporary world has deviated from this ideal of your parents has to be taken care of, respected, and taken care of. Now, you say that the time has changed, so we should devise a new dharmic teaching. Does it mean, should I now say that because times have changed, then mistreating the parents is dharma? It is not. Like, common sense dictates that even though times have changed, even though there are many limitations, even though many children are in abroad, they cannot come and back and take care of their aged parents. Even then, the principle that when the parents grow old, the children have a duty, have love. See, if we love our parents, we'll automatically take them. We don't even need to bring the concept of duty at all. That principle holds true, and that principle is dharma. This is the dharmic method. Manusmriti gives a very interesting revelation here, very interesting thing, that if you are able to do this one activity of dharma, that taking care of your parents, respecting them, and ensuring that their well-being, even if you don't do any other ritualistic practice, any other dharmic methods, if you do this sincerely, just like we have example of Shravana and others, right, from our Puranas, then you will attain everything. That is Abhyudaya, Nishresa, all for sorts of well-being, material and spiritual. This knowledge is available only through this Shastri Pramana. You and I cannot know on our own that this is how it is, right? So the point is, it is very, very relevant in our everyday life. I have a whole presentation on what are the Manusmriti's teachings on etiquette, our dining habits, our moral anchoring, our ethics. There is a wonderful verse: Ahimsa satyam asteyam shaucham indriya nigraham. Ahimsa, non-injury; satya, truthfulness; asteyam, non-stealing; indriya nigra, control, restrainment of our mind and the senses. These are samanya dharma. That is, these are universally applicable to everybody who want well-being, irrespective of your station in life, your nationality, your ethnicity, your stage in life, your community, doesn't matter. Your gender doesn't matter. Anybody and everybody. There are hundreds of teachings like that for individual life, for interpersonal relationship building, for social interactions, for ritualistic, and the most important idea is the ritualistic idea. The ritualistic
Yes.
Vinny,
is the
can I
grounding.
please?
Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Soumya, yes. What do you have
yeah,
to say?
yeah. Sorry for just barging in, but I think we are on a time constraint here, and I have some questions. So, like you mentioned, sir, that Manusmriti is essentially a knowledge text that we can gain so much from, and I believe knowledge can be challenged or it can be inquired for clarification. So, as someone who is a Gen Z and who has not read Manusmriti academically, but I have read your translation. So I have a few questions if you allow me to pose them.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So you said that Manusmriti talks about dharma, and dharma is essentially well being or it is a way of living so that you can attain moksha and happiness, which we all want to do. So, a simple question: do we need to attribute or attach religion to dharma? That through religious means only, or by attaching religious practices, you can attain moksha or you can achieve a dharmic life.
How do you define religion?
How do I define religion? For me, religion is simply believing in a higher superpower, believing in God. And there is nothing wrong in believing in God. I think we all believe in God when we are desperate. And even as someone who is an atheist, when you are in a desperate situation, you do believe, you do pray to God, keep God, please, aisa kuch ho jaye, that help us. And religion also is something that we see a lot of people practicing through idol worship. And there are a lot of people who don't believe in these values, but they want to live a life where they are happy, but they just don't want to go to a temple or call themselves or attain them or even that say. So if I am wrong, then you can point out, obviously.
I think very interesting question, and more interesting is the fact that I just answered this just before you asked the question itself. I mentioned this verse from Manusmriti. See, let me just take a leap here before answering that. The purpose of Manusmriti at individual level is.
I'm not asking
No,
from
no,
a Manusmriti
no, no,
point of
I'm
view.
telling you. You asked the
I'm just
question.
asking from
No,
a
no,
general point of view.
you asked
Dharma.
me. Yes, you asked me the question, right? Let me answer. I will answer your question. Be assured. So, the purpose of Manusmriti is to enunciate different methods of dharma practice that are applicable to different people of having different temperaments, different cultural conditions, different social conditions, different ritualistic conditions. So there are very different methods of dharma practices given. So your question is basically a question of an atheist, right? So you don't want to go to temple, you don't want to do anything, but still I want to lead a life of dharma. Is it possible? Answer is yes. But yes comes with certain caveats. What the very first caveat is that you have to first subscribe to the notion of dharma, right? Even in its very bare sense. So you may say that I don't subscribe to moksha or paraloka, fine. But do you subscribe to the notion of ethics or dharma as in ethics, wherein the karma relationship, you have to subscribe to that. If I do some action, there will be consequences of the action. Like if you study for the exam, you pass the exam. You don't study, you fail that, right? So if you do actions, there will be consequences. And that consequences could be many different types. So if you subscribe to this, the very notion of dharma, that there is something called dharma, then there is a method for it. So for a non-believer, or rather, I would say, for somebody who does not subscribe to Devata, somebody who does not subscribe to, say, rituals, for them, this one verse that I just quoted a while ago, ahimsa satyamasteyam shaucham indriya nigraham esham samasika dharma. Samasika, samanya dharma. Samanya means this is something which is most basic, at the very basic level, it is applicable to everybody. I have one, if this question comes from genuine curiosity, genuine seeking, then please read my book, Samanya Dharma. It is available on Amazon. Very short book, just 100 pages. It enunciates these principles called Sadharana Dharma, very common, universal, ethical principles. So if you don't subscribe to anything else, but if you accept Dharma in this sense also, and if you're sincere in your practice, that you have to be very sincere that I will practice ahimsa, I will practice asteya, I will ensure that my words, my thoughts, and my speech and my thought actions, they are all in sync. It is not that I will say something to somebody and then act very differently behind. It is not that I will acts of friendship and then backstab, or it is not like all this comes. So it is not that I will control my desires, I will control my indriya nigraha. Shaucham, I will maintain purity of the mind, I will maintain purity of the body, purity of the thought. You see, So all these are very important. In fact, all the other Vishesha dharmas, Vishesha means specialized dharmas, that are given for different people having different ritualistic temperaments, psychological temperaments, social conditions, cultural conditions, stages of life, all of them boils down to this essential practice of Samanya Dharma. They all can be derived from the Samanya Dharma, which is common. So the answer to your question is definitely an yes, and it is contrary to the assumption that Manusmriti is an exclusive text. It is only for some people and excludes everybody. Manusmriti is among the most inclusive texts. In Hindu Dharma is most inclusive because it provides methods for everybody. Even our leftist Abhishek ji here, he can also practice this Ahimsa Satyam Asteyam, but he has to subscribe to it, right? As a
Sir, I think
dharma.
we all subscribe to these basic tasks. Even if someone has not read Manusmriti, I think the example that you quoted, taking care of parents, elders, which is there in Manusmriti, I think you don't need to read these texts to do these practices in daily life. Someone can be
Definitely. I
atheist,
mean, yeah.
a person can
See,
be non-dharmic, or a person who is not religious. They can also practice, they can also take care of their parents, they can also
yes.
believe in some higher power or maybe universe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to uh, box them into one specific religion.
See,
They can just
again,
call themselves
see,
as human beings, a good human being, simple.
yeah. See, fine. That is fine. See, the problem here is, I think, with your experience or with your reading about the religion, that is what makes you uncomfortable, and that is fine. This is not the forum to go there. But
I'm not uncomfortable,
I, I,
just wanted
I,
to clarify.
all I'm saying is, if it is about individual abhyudaya nishrayasa, if your individual well-being, it is enough you practice this ahimsa satyam, fine, because that is your level, that is what is comfortable to, fine. But the problem comes when you don't subscribe to religion, you don't subscribe to rituals, you don't subscribe to idea of devata or ishvara or temple, etc., but then try to interfere with those practices. See, that is what happened in Shabrimala. I'm just referring back to the earlier discussion. So there the problems at the individual level. If you are happy with this ahimsa satyam astam, fine. You don't need a text to tell. See, the way the dharmic knowledge has been passed on in India is not that. See, the text purpose is for the show very few people. Say, just like in secular education, not everybody does PhD. Right? What the scientists who are working in CERN and other places, they're very small number of people at the very highest expertise level. But the knowledge trickles down to all of us, like we study our high school textbook, science, maths, etc. Same with Dharma. How Dharma was transmitted. See, at the highest level, we have Veda. So we have a very small group of people who are keeping that tradition of Veda alive in the way it is supposed to be. And then we have a more bigger group of Shastra scholars who are studying all the Smritis, etc., in a Shastriya manner. And then we have Itihasa Puranas, which were created for the purpose of dissemination through stories. So we have a lot of today also, contemporarily, we have so many fiction books based on this, based on, we have so many books based on Mahabharatas. My good friend writes, has written wonderful books on Draupadi and others, right? So the point is, we are engaging with the text and we are also self-transforming. But there is another level there, the Natya. So we have all this beautiful poetry, dance, drama, through which of Kalidasa and everything else, to which the dharma was disseminated. You see, not everybody was even expected to read the text. The idea is to, you see, reading the text, reading is studying the text in the way they're supposed to be. You have read my book, right? So you know I have differentiated between Shastriya Adhyayana and common reading, like we have today Veda PDF reading and all. So the Adhyayana is very difficult. It's a tapas in itself, austerity in itself. It requires a lot of time, lot of years. We don't have that. Most of us don't have that, right? We have our lives, we have our ideas. So for us, that is not needed. What is needed is the distillation of the thought.
Yes.
So why?
I completely agree.
Yeah, I think
the
And I
that
think
is,
what I have understood is that you may not agree with it, that if you are a dharmic person, you don't have to be religious at all. And again, the interference part that you said, that okay, I do not believe in it, then I should at least respect what others are doing and not interfere in it. Then it should come from the other end also. So if I am believing in something, and then the judgment should not also come on us. And calling somebody right wing, left wing, I think now it has been politicized. So, and that comes with the salt of judgment also. But apart
Yeah.
from that, like you mentioned that your book is the opening verses of Manusmriti basically establish authority. So sages go to Manu and they ask him to teach, that you are the knowledge giver, please teach us what knowledge is. And it talks about the structured cosmic order and creating foundation where social rules can be presented, and basically what how society can be governed. But I could not help myself from uh, just seeking clarity regarding this one particular verse that is there on page number 71 of your book, which is pertaining to women and their independence. And this is from Manusmriti 5.148. In childhood, a woman must be subject to her father, in youth to her husband, and after her husband's death to her sons. A woman must never be independent. Then I understand where this is coming from, and from what I have understood from your interpretation, the independence equals to protection, that women are vulnerable and they need protection. So I just want you to give clarity regarding this one particular verse.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this is a very popularly, widely understood, misunderstood verse that is often quoted as anti-women. This is that was one of the reasons why I put it in that chapter. See, when the term independence, see, you can translate Swatantra literally speaking as independence, no issue. But the issue here arises is how we understand independence today and what is the perspective of the Shastra are two different things, or at least in a two different sense of it. Our idea about independence today is that I want to live my way. Like we had this wonderful song that I remember. It's My Life by Bon Jovi. So it was one of my favorite songs when I was growing up. So it's basically condenses. It's my life. I want to do what I want to do. See, it is a given that our actions, only we can decide what we do, what we cannot do. In the same book of Manusmriti, I have also clarified this. The purpose of the Shastra is to reveal knowledge, impart knowledge, tell you what is beneficial to you, what is not beneficial to you. But the choice to take the path is yours, because the consequences are also faced by you in one way or the other. So coming to that particular verse, the similar verses appear in two different contexts, in the 9th chapter and in the 5th chapter. In the 9th chapter, especially, the context is about protection. See, we see today, just take contemporary examples, see what is happening in Europe, how the immigrants who have come are openly raping women, how women have been made vulnerable. So the idea is to ensure a safe society at the larger level and ensure a safe space within the home, outside the home, such that women can do their thing without any problems. And there are many levels. Yeah, there are many different levels at what this protection can be, right? And this is not just my interpretation. I have based it on the traditional interpretation of the commentators who specifically speak about protection. Here, the Manusmriti also speaks about how women should prevent themselves from putting themselves in a vulnerable or problematic situations. So we know this, right? We have all women, you know this better than me, that you have all faced some situations wherein somebody might have tried to molest you, tried to take a chance and made you severely uncomfortable. So I come from a construction background, and when I was working in construction, they used to tell us the safety equipment is the last line of defense, protection. But the first one is you avoid unsafe conditions, you avoid unsafe equipments, you avoid unsafe situations. So this has been the traditional knowledge passed on, which today has been somehow perhaps part of the fault has been how these were imparted in the homes. When you do things in a very forceful manner, even the good ideas can turn into bad. But leaving that aside, this was the idea about avoiding unsafe situations, that especially for women this is relevant, and this is not something, there is nothing patriarchal here. That is how society is, that there are criminal elements in the society, and they will definitely take advantage of vulnerable people, be it men, be it women, anybody. So this, in this context, what it is saying, in the when you are children, and this is not just about girl, even for boys, if you are a small kid, it is the duty of the parents to take care of them. There is nothing problematic here,
Yeah.
right? So similarly, you have to see it in the whole context, not just in a small context. And even otherwise, in the 5th chapter also, when it comes, the idea there is that it is not just about protection, it is about defining the nature of dharma, the nature of
I
dharmic
cannot
practice.
understand how is dharma related here. Because
Yeah.
when you are saying a woman must never be independent, must never be, I think these are very strong words to use. Then
See, the
dharma
idea
is a
is.
way of life. It's a way of living. It is for men and women both.
Hmm.
They both want to live a happy life. Then
Hmm.
I get your point. Children are vulnerable. They need protection. And women are vulnerable. And I think the problem is not with the women, that how they how they dress or how they present themselves or how they are in vulnerable situations. I think
You can't blame women.
you can exactly, you cannot blame
Sure.
a
See,
woman for being in that position.
no,
If
that
men
is
are
fine.
raping women in
Hmm.
Europe,
That
then
is fine.
Yes.
No,
the
see,
blame
the
is on
point.
men only.
No,
I
fine.
just
That I
want to,
agree. No,
so
I
just
agree.
to just
Just a
to
second.
give like
Yeah.
an announcement. So I think we have like we are at the last leg of our discussion. I know it's very
Yeah.
exciting. It's getting very, say, enriching. But just wanted to remind about the timer. So
Yeah.
actually, it's a
No,
longer.
let me just
Yeah.
give a quick response. I fully
Yes.
agree with you, Samaji, that uh, women are the victim, and that is what exactly the verse is saying. That it is not saying. See, in fact, the
No,
verse is not addressed to women at all. The verse is
it
addressed to
is
the men
clearly
folk.
written a woman must be subject to her
No,
father,
let me
in youth
complete.
to her husband, and after her
Yeah.
husband's death to her
Let
son.
me
A woman must
can
never be independent.
Yeah.
So
See, you're
why it is
reading it.
not men that it is written?
Let me complete. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fine. So the protection part comes in the 9th chapter. Therein, the verse is addressed to the men, and you said that women are the victims, and that is what I'm saying. Women are the victims, but there will always be criminal elements everywhere in the
Then
society.
we should be
You
aiming to
no,
maintain a society when there are no criminal
see,
elements.
that is a utopian idea. Fine, as an idea that is good,
You
but
can't
comes
stop
to
me.
talk about practice. No matter what you do, there will be criminals. There will be situations. So see, Manusmriti is a very pragmatic text. Its ideas, its suggestions are for everyday make sense on everyday basis. So I am not saying that women are the women are at fault. I am saying that there will be situations when women can be vulnerable, and it is quite common sense, be it for men or women, that we should not throw ourselves in problematic situations. We should not throw ourselves in vulnerable situations. We should protect ourselves. That is one. Let me come to the 5th chapter question that you said you did not make sense to you. So there are two things. One is the 5th chapter speaks about the nature. See, the Manusmriti speaks about nature of dharma for men. It also speaks about nature of dharma for women, and it also speaks about nature of dharma within the context of marriage. So there, it primarily it is about the context of the marriage, where what is the nature of dharma? The husband and wife are two sides of the same coin. I have a small section there itself on what Hindu notion of marriage is. Please study it again. How they're
Yes,
together.
I have studied that.
Samabhoga and Sahadharma, right? So in this, when the husband and wife are two parts of the same unit, all your actions have to be in unison. So that is the idea. So this is about dharma. This is not about artha. It is not about your autonomy or how you want to live or your self-expression. This is about how to practice a particular practice of called Stri Dharma or Pativrata Dharma or Sadhvi Dharma. So if you say, I don't subscribe to these ideals, I don't subscribe to the Hindu notion of marriage at all, I will rather not marry, I will rather have live in a relationship, fine, go ahead, nobody is stopping you. But the point is, you asked me again, I told you initially, there are principles which are universal, then there are principles which are context specific. So this is one of those that for the women, the primary path to Abhyudaya Nishrayasa is the marriage, and is through the way it is the marital dharmas have been
Is
given
this
to
for
us.
men also?
Then
In
men
that
also
period of time?
no,
Okay.
men also, there are most of the restrictions, guidelines are given for men. So in the second chapter and all, you will see the men having instructed to ensure that if you make the women folk in your family, your wife, mother, sister-in-law, daughter-in-law, daughter, doesn't matter. It says that if they even shed a little bit of tears, then your whole family will go to ruin. Then all your ritualistic activities become fruitless. So this is the power. This is what the dharma. You cannot say, you cannot celebrate one idea that yatra naristu pujyante teramante devataha and discard other idea. That it has to be understood in unison, right? So that is the point. So the question is, if you don't subscribe to this idea, then what? Then I mentioned about Samana Dharma, Himsa Satyam Asteya. That path of Dharma is open. The question is, again, instead of seeing things in black and white, it is better to have some semblance of balance and genuine Shraddha. See, in the book also I argue, if since you have read, you know that the correct way to approach the Shastra is the hermeneutics of Shraddha, not the academic hermeneutics of suspicion. Why? Because this is not a simple, the kind of normal political and religious books that it's not like that. It is a Shastra. It is a Arshaya Grantha given to us by the Rishis, the Munis, etc. They can truly transform us, reveal us, only when we engage them with years together with Shraddha. See, Shraddha simply means, even in science and all, we read all this Richard Feynman and others because we trust their words, because we believe that they are great scientists and they will tell us truth.
No, I completely agree with you,
Yeah.
sir, here. And I think we are losing, again, pointing out losing time. But the thing is that, again, we can agree to disagree. But I completely agree that Manusmriti was written in a very different time. But now still carrying forward with these type of verses in these particular contemporary times where women are on equal footing with men. They are also, in terms of marriage also, both men and women are contributing towards all kinds of duties, regardless of following any dharma or not, regardless of subscribing to Stri Dharma or Pati Dharma or whatever it is. They respect it, but they respect each other also. And that's why they are doing it out of love and out of respect and out of devotion for each other. So, carrying forward with these particular verses in one chapter saying that woman must never be independent, and in another chapter saying that if you harm your women, then it is not a good thing, that you will be ruined. Then maybe these type of verses should not be in Manusmriti, if we are revising it, if we are saying that society is changing.
This is a very ideologically loaded question with lot
No,
of
sir,
bias.
it is not
No,
ideologically
let me
loaded.
complete. Yeah, let me complete. See,
No,
this is
I complete, sir, but this is not
uh,
ideologically loaded.
then
If words are written
you
in a
don't.
very crude manner, then it is not ideology. It is
See,
it's a statement. It is
it's a
not
statement.
ideology.
Yeah, all I am saying is it is a statement. You might not yourself realize it, but this statement comes from lot of ideological assumptions that are already inherent from a Eurocentric lens. You used equality. You there is
So, sir,
assumption that
equality and
please
everything
let
is
me answer now.
Eurocentric.
Yeah,
No,
it
I'm
is.
just saying it is Eurocentric
It is.
then.
It is Eurocentrism. The very notion of
How can
equality,
equality that which is
equality.
universal
Please,
and it is in our
please,
constitution be
please,
Eurocentric?
please let me answer. Please study
Sir.
the history of these ideas. I'm not making a very loose statement that it is Eurocentric. You study the history of the ideas. All this comes from Enlightenment period in the Europe. It is literally a Eurocentric ideas. But let me not go there. Let me answer. Let me get back to the idea of what you asked. Again, you're reframing the very question I have mentioned from the very beginning. Dharma is always eternally relevant. If you want to be happy, if you want to attain overall well-being, then you have to take refuge in dharma. There is no other way than that. It is not a question about society changing. Society may change, the conditions may change, interpersonal dynamics change. All these are at the level of artha kama. They are not at the level of dharma. See, they are not at the level of dharma. So therefore, it is very important when you say that these are ideas are somehow problematic today, they are not. Marriage, the way that husband, wife all contribute together, you're assuming that they were not contributing together in the past. That was not so. The very idea of vivaha is that the husband and wife are together. They pursue the dharma, artha, kama, moksha together.
They are
So
dependent on each other.
they are dependent on each other. You take offense with this verse, Nastri Swatantra Marathi, but the same Manusmriti also says that for the men, it says that it is only because of the presence of the wife that he is able to do his religious duties, his grahastha duties. He is able to continue his lineage. He is able to attain happiness. He is able to
No, I
everything.
completely agree. There is one verse also that gods
Just
are rejoiced
yeah,
No,
just
when
to
women
sort
are
of
over there.
bring
But
both of
then
you
you
back.
don't need,
Yeah,
you cannot have two contradictory elements in one particular
No, there are no
structure.
contradictions. See, you are not seeing the point. The point here is there are instructions to both men and women that they have to pursue marriage together as a grahastha dharma. Only then they will both attain the goals of dharma, which is abhyudaya nishrayasa. You cannot.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, that is the very gist of that verse.
yes,
Rather than seeing missing the forest for the trees, it is important to analyze the tree in the context of the larger forest.
yes.
I think we can. I think it's
But
already
Yeah,
1.
yeah, yeah.
okay,
Like on
I
this
think we
note,
can
I
just
think
pause here.
yeah, thank you so much to all of you. I know we had a lot of participants, and I was really following the feedback and the thoughts and the questions that were coming. So I'm so sorry, but we have, say, we don't have much time. What I can do is I mean, Nitin sir, if you could share your email ID on the chat so that we can actually take up follow-up questions, feedback, suggestions, clarifications, and then we can take the conversation forward. Will that work, sir?
Yeah, I have shared the email ID. If anybody
Great.
wants to reach out to me, they can,
Yeah.
and I will try to respond when possible. Yeah.
Yes.
Vinny,
Thank
can
you
you
so
please
much once
unmute
again.
Abhishek once? He just wants to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Abhishek, I'm trying
Yes,
to.
can you hear me?
And
Yes, now I can
this
hear you.
Eurocentric view is something which I respectfully do not agree with you, sir, because
No,
equality and
see,
everything is
no,
universal.
this
So
is
just calling it Eurocentric,
see,
that means that women in
see,
India do not deserve
just
these
see
things.
here, just see here what is happening. You have already accepted the equality, etc., as universal, and you are interrogating whether dharma is universal. I'm seeing the reverse. That dharma is universal. It is the Eurocentric values which need to be interrogated. This is just opposite position. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying that I have to reject equality or in notions. Rather, I'm saying that there is a better explanation, better framework to express what you want to express, which is dharma. Dharma framework's idea is
So
well-being for all.
equality and dharma
Equality,
coexist with each other.
see, pardon?
Dharma and equality, they can coexist with each other.
It depends upon the context. It cannot coexist in the say when in Sabrimala the equality narrative was used as a weapon to dismantle the temple practice. There it cannot coexist, but it can coexist in the sense when we are speaking about if there is injustice to any party from another party, if there is any himsa to other parties, then that narrative can be useful. I'm saying is dharma has better categories, better understanding of all how society functions, and they're more useful. See, I'll tell you, this Sabarimala is a very big evidence in the
No, that
contemporary
is
time.
a different
Yes.
event
It's not
altogether.
different. It is
Yeah.
about equality, gender equality, and all these things.
Yeah.
These categories are problematic because we are applying it without thinking. We are applying it as a universal category when it is not.
Yes.
It is not a
Abhishek,
universal.
we'll take
Hmm.
the final comment from you.
Uh,
Yes, Abhishek.
I think these discussions are very important, and I certainly didn't want to offend anyone by my opinions. I just wanted to say that any text, any historical text, any ancient text will have certain things that modern people will certainly not agree with at all, and that is fine. I think we should be able to have these discrepancies in how a text is written now and how it is interpreted, how the text was written then, how it has been, how it will be interpreted now, because time, as we know, uh, is marked for change, it's marked for progress, and progress is a good thing. And position of women, position of people from lower castes have obviously been lifted from what they were. So it is good, progress is good, and also discussions about these things is very important because it gives us an understanding of how our society came to be. So that's all I wanted to say. That even
Yes.
if we don't agree on things, I found this discussion very
And
interesting, and
the opinions,
Yes.
whatever
Likewise.
have been shared, even if
even if
I
I
disagree,
disagree,
Yeah.
they
they
have been.
have been very interesting, and I will keep in mind about dharma as something universal and not something specific to uh, one religion and try to adapt it.
I
Yes.
completely
Tha-
agree. This discussion was very nice. And obviously, when you are reading something new, you come up with questions. And when we were discussing, I also came up with questions about equality or dharma or anything. So obviously, we are all curious, and Gen Zs are named as someone they just don't subscribe to these notions. But in reality, we just are very curious and we want to understand it in totality and in a very particular, not particular, but in a way that we are able to understand it. So I think we
Yes.
were able to get that from here, and we can agree to disagree to things. And I'm sorry if I lost my temper or if I interrupted in between. But yeah,
But thank you so much, Soumya, Abhishek. Thank you so much, Nitin sir, for your wisdom, for your same knowledge. And I'm sure this discussion is definitely going to inspire young generation to actually pick up Manusmriti and read it. So as Soumya mentioned, even Abhishek mentioned, it is very important for us to know our scriptures before actually critiquing them. And that is what the agenda of this panel discussion was, that you should pick up your scriptures. You should know what your say culture is, what your heritage is. And thank you so much for actually writing this book so that we can be more aware about our culture, our heritage, our religion. Thank you so much, Nitin sir. Thank you so much, Soumya, Abhishek, and for everybody who joined the discussion. I'm sorry we couldn't take live questions right now, but I'm sure Nitin sir will actually get back to you with all of your questions and feedback. So, with this, I thank all of you once again and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.